My presentation is on the PHP function and return keywords. And a function is a block of code that can be used over and over again. That's what makes it very efficient. You can write it once and use it more than once. It does not start automatically. It must be called. The keyword function is used to create the named block of code. The reason we use functions are functions can make the program much easier to test and debug because of the modularization. It is more efficient, and it makes code reusable. So the syntax of a function is that they're the word function, and then you would list the function name. If there's an argument, it goes in those parentheses. And then after the little curly braces, you write the code that you want to be executed when that function is called. And it says that use a function name that tells what the function does, so it makes it easier to figure out. And then also function names are not case sensitive. So here is an example here. There's code over here. And this, again, here's the function word, the keyword. And then the name of the function is write message. So there's no parameters in this particular function. And then in the curly braces, this is what the function is going to do when it is called. So it will echo hello world on your screen. And then the closed curly brace means that that's the end of what the function does. And so then when you want to use this function, then you call it like this. So the name of the function is used. And so once you call the function this way, then the result then would be hello world. Okay, so that's a very simple example. Here there's an example with a parameter or an argument. Parameter and argument is pretty the same thing. And so over here, again, the name function indicates that this is a function that we're creating. This is the add function is the name of the function. In the parentheses, we have the parameters. So there's going to be a number 1 and a number 2. And in the curly braces then is what the function is going to do. So there is a variable called sum that's going to contain the result of adding number 1 and number 2 together. And so then that variable will include that answer. So echo sum of 2 numbers is, and then a colon, and then whatever is in that variable based on what number 1 and number 2 were. So then if you add this is when we call the add function. We call the add function, and in the parentheses, we put in the arguments or the parameters. So number 1 would be 15, number 2 would be 20. And so when it runs that function, it's going to echo the string sum of 2 numbers is, and then whatever the result of that is. Okay, so once we add 15 and 25, that would be 35, and you can see the result here of calling that function is that it echoes sum of 2 numbers, and the result of that is 35. And so I indicated where I got these tutorials from. This is another one that's very similar. Again, this is a function called setHeight, and the argument in this function is that the min height variable will equal 50. Inside these parentheses the curly braces is what it's going to do. So it's going to echo the height is, and then it will give the min height, and then a line break. Okay, so then after this is we've got we're calling the function 4 different times, each time with a different parameter or a different min height. And so then it will tell you, the echo will tell you all those different heights. So where there's no argument, they just use the min height of 50, whatever was in there before. So if they put something else in, then it would be that. So set the height. So the height is 350, 50. This is the one where there was no parameters, so it used the one that was listed in the function or in the parameters of the function. And so you have the 4 different results. Okay, this one is a little more involved. This is passing an argument by reference and also by value. So in this case, the function, again, the function keyword, and the name of the function is add 5 and then a number. Okay, this is the parameter of the, so it's just going to this is the name of it, add 5, and then whatever the number is, it'll add 5 to. In the curly braces then, we've got the, oops. That happened, okay. So in this here, we have the number parameter plus, and then it will equal 5. So the variable here will include or add 5 to whatever the number inside the parentheses is going to be. Here, this is different because there's an ampersand there. That would be passing the argument by a reference. And so it works a little bit differently. In this case, there is a variable called originum, I guess it is. And originum is equal to 10. And with the add 5 function and originum 10, it's just going to give you the original value as originum, or in this case 10. But with the add 6 function, because it is passing it by reference, it's going to actually add the originum, which is 10, and add 6 to that, which is 16. So here, originum is the same. The original value of originum is still going to be 10, but when you pass it by a reference, it's going to actually add that value, add 6 to that value, and actually change what originum actually is. So instead of it equaling 10, it's now going to equal that plus 6, which would be the 16. And this one I also got from the previous reference, the tutorial point. And then a return. Okay, some functions do have returns. A function can return a value of any data type. A return keyword is used to assign the value returned by a function. And the return stops the execution of the function and sends the value back to the calling code. Okay, when do we need a return? The return statement is required anytime a function needs to return a value. When a function returns a value, a variable must be provided to receive that value every time that function is called. Okay, so here we have an example from our exercise that we've been working on. And here we have the function of check email, and this is in the functions library. And this is one of the functions, like I say, in that functions.php file that's in the library folder. So this function is check email. Okay, so we've written the function, and then it doesn't get called until we go over to here inside the index file of the accounts folder or the accounts controller. And this happens to be the case, part of the case statement register. And so I've left out some parts of the function, but I've just shown you where this is called. So in this case, the client email is sanitized. So it takes out any improper stuff that shouldn't be involved in an email. And then down here, down here we're actually using or calling the function. And so this is the check email function that we have created over in our functions library. And it's calling that function and returning the value of that function to the check email variable. And then down here we use the check email variable, and we're using it so that if it's empty, then we're going to provide a message to please provide a valid email address. And we also empty the client email box, so it will be empty. So it's empty, waiting for a valid email address to be provided. And that's it. I hope you liked my presentation about function and return keywords. Thank you.